Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. I'd like to talk to you today. Screw up my intro. Welcome back to What's on the Playlist Today. What's on the playlist today is Rusty Warren. This thing here. Knockers Up. This is actually a re-release of two albums, Knockers Up and Songs for Sinners. Rusty Warren, born I think 1930, give or take a year. She was adopted. Her parents named her Irene Goldman. A fairly uneventful early life. She studied music, became a piano teacher for a while, started performing in lounges. She was a lounge singer for all of her career. Rusty Warren was her stage name, and she was particularly known for being rather bawdy, I guess would be a way of phrasing it, although I'm not sure if people are familiar with that term. Blue, I guess. She talked about sex a lot. That was basically her bit. Which, considering the era, 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, she had a 20-year career, which she put out 20-year recording career. Put out over a dozen albums over late 1950s, late 1970s. She kept performing long after that, just didn't record anything else. But yeah, she would, her opening statements, like, I like to talk about something very near and dear to all of our hearts. I'm talking about sex. And she got away with it. I think she got away with it by being, while she was rather bawdy, she didn't swear, and she wasn't graphic in her comments or her jokes. She was certainly very saucy. She was a saucy redhead. She's well known for two songs, Knockers Up and Bounce Your Boobies. Knockers Up, the titular song of one of the albums here. The Knockers Up album was actually on the Billboard charts, top 200 Billboard charts for 3 years, and was the #1 comedy album of the year that it was released. Which, again, saying something, but also I think worth mentioning because this was a huge hit. And I don't think anyone today really knows about her. She died in 2021, I think, in her sleep at the age of 91. So she's not with us anymore, but I mean, this woman was hugely popular. She is basically credited with kicking off the sexual revolution. She is considered the mother of the sexual revolution. Her first album came out in 1958, 1959. This album came out in Knockers Up. That was Songs for Sinners. Knockers Up came out in 1960. #1, album was on the charts for 3 years. And I don't think anyone today really knows about her. It's one of the reasons I wanted to mention. This is the only album of hers that I have. But I mean, I first started hearing those two songs, Knockers Up and Bounce Your Boobies, on the radio late 70s, early 80s. I'm not sure exactly when. But the local radio station, as a teenager growing up, was basically run by stoners who would play whatever they felt like. They'd play anything that made them laugh or that they thought was cool. So, I got a lot of weird stuff through that. And then, the Dr. Mento show came around around the same time, late 70s, early 80s. And I listened to that too, as often as I could. And I heard her songs on Dr. Mento as well. These performances, these full albums, are essentially just recordings of her lounge performances. There's no edits, no cuts, not really. I think there are one or two, but no major edits. It's just her singing songs and doing crowd work. And I'm here for it. I love this dirty old broad, which is how she refers to herself frequently. One of her bits is she's talking about how women are shocked at what she says. Oh my God, did you hear that dirty old broad? She said the word slut 3 times. I heard it with my own ears. And she called Mavis a hustler. Anyone knows Mavis gives it away for free? Oh, I love this dirty old broad. I really do. She always makes me laugh. Which is why I bought the album. I really think people should listen to it because of the historical legacy. I mean, like I said, she kickstarted the sexual revolution of the 60s. And she wasn't afraid to talk about sex in a very frank and honest manner. She joked about it. It was her, she joked about it, but she was also self-deprecating. She was sarcastic. She was funny. I'm not sure how well this holds up today. Not because of the material itself. I mean, by today's standards, it's pretty light. But for the day, it was very salacious. I couldn't find any record ever having gotten arrested or gotten in legal trouble because of her material, unlike Lenny Bruce, George Carlin, and Richard Pryor, who all were arrested. I can't find any record of her being arrested or getting in trouble with the law for material. I think it's because she didn't swear and wasn't graphic. But back to why I don't think this would hold up today. It's a lounge performance. You're sitting here listening to her, pointing out, say, hey, this table here, it's a guy with like 4 different women, what are you doing tonight, sir? So it's her just kind of, there's very few songs. There are, there's probably, for both albums combined, there's like maybe 10 or 12 songs. And the rest of it is just her doing crowd work. So it's kind of slow. And like I said, the material isn't quite as risque today as it was back then. I mean, nowadays you'll see worse on daytime television, So it's not quite as shocking as it would have been 50 years ago. But also, like I said, the crowd work is kind of slow. I think she's funny. But I also listened to her as a young man, so I kind of have the nostalgia aspect of it too. Even so, like I said, I think it's worth listening to at least some of her stuff. Just maybe not buy the whole album, maybe not listen to the whole thing. I don't know anyone who wants to sit through a half an hour's worth of lounge performance. But you can find some of the individual songs. Knockers Up. That should be pretty easy to find. But if you want to listen to the whole thing, I definitely recommend it. If for nothing else, just to see who she was. And, she was, in my opinion at least, an amazing woman. And it's a shame that more people don't know about her. And that's half the fun of doing this, not just, because I like music, but, to share my weird little things that people don't know about. That's half the fun of doing this. Anywho, as always, thanks for watching. If you like this unscripted rambling crap, meh. And until next time, good hunting.